Hello there, my name is Pavel Stenma and now we'll unveil the top news of recent days. For the first time in history, Ukraine is going through the heating season on gas of its own production and with a balanced electricity system. Despite the wartime, Naftogaz of Ukraine and Укргазвидобування increased production by 11% and opened new gas production wells.
Минулого року ми жили в умовах постійних обмежень та відключень. Сьогодні
Last year, we lived under constant restrictions and blackout. Today, there are no such conditions in any region, and there are no plans to do so. After 50% of the power system was hit by enemy missiles and drones, we carry out extensive repairs and added 2.2 gigawatts of capacity to the grid. Despite the constant attacks on Ukrainian energy facilities, especially in the east of the country, which continue this winter with rockets and shaheds, we have light in our homes, thanks largely to our power engineers. We are grateful to them for this daily, hard, dangerous work. We are also grateful to our partners who have been helping us in every way with funds, machinery and equipment. Last year alone, we received cargoes from 35 countries.
By the way, you may not know, but February 24th, 2022 is not only the date of the start of a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. It was on this day that Ukraine disconnected from the single electricity system with Russia and Belarus and joined the European ENTSOE system, which allowed increasing the capacity of electricity imports to 1.7 gigawatts. Russia is losing its energy weapons, which it has been using to blackmail its neighbors for decades. Russia tried to influence the European markets due to the high cost of gas. And by the way, dependence on Russian gas was one of the reasons why the Kremlin believed that Europe would not help Ukraine. Moscow has repeatedly used blackmail to obtain favorable conditions for itself. Of course, everything was explained by force or scheduled repairs or gas pipelines to Europe. As part of the blackmail, there was also the undermining of the Nord Stream gas pipeline. By the way, last winter, Russian propaganda media even released a video about how European cities will freeze without Russian gas. But in the end, everything turned out to be the opposite. Contrary to the Kremlin's plans, it is Russian cities that are freezing right now, not European ones. And European cities and Ukrainian don't freeze despite Russian rockets hitting energy infrastructure. As we have repeatedly seen during this war, everything that Russia wants to do bad for others happens in Russia itself. The EU has begun discussing the 13th package of sanctions against Russia, which should be approved by February 24th, on the second anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. It was reported by Reuters, citing diplomatic sources. Formal discussions on the package will begin on Saturday, before the European Commission will ask bloc members to approve it. The new package will be designed to close gaps that allow Russia to still circumvent existing sanctions, especially for the supply of goods that can be used on the battlefield. According to one of the agency's sources, new sectoral sanctions may also be introduced. Poland and the countries of the Baltic region are calling for a ban on supplies of Russian aluminium and liquefied natural gas.
Потрібен новий санкційний пакет.
A new European Union sanction package is needed, and we are preparing it. We are also preparing new steps to limit Russia's ability to bypass sanctions. Every manifestation of pressure on Russia is a step towards peace. Every act of assistance to Ukraine is protection of lives. I'm grateful to everyone standing with Ukraine.
Nuclear power or liquefied natural gas remain outside the restrictions due to the stance of various EU countries. Rosatom, a Russian state nuclear corporation, is building 2 new reactors for Hungary, so it won't let sanctions be imposed on the Russian nuclear sector, whereas Russian LNG is imported by many countries, especially Spain. Therefore, as part of the 13th package of sanctions, the EU plans to target Russian imports rather than its exports. Since the aluminium smelting process requires a vast amount of electricity, sanctions against aluminium will simultaneously become sanctions against the energy sector. The EU nations seek to create additional obstacles to Russia's acquisition of components that it cannot produce itself and that it needs for high-tech weapons such as guided missiles. I will remind you that the 12th package of sanctions was adopted on December 18th, and after adopting the 13th package, the EU sanctions against the aggressor state have not yet reached their maximum. Because Russia continues to use a number of possibilities in the world economy to build up the potential of waging war against Ukraine, and not only. Russia is likely behind an increase in jamming of satellite signals used by airlines, smartphones and weapon systems in Eastern Europe, Bloomberg writes, citing Martin Herem, commander of the Estonian Defense Forces. Even the signals used by the EU civil aviation are jammed. It's so unexpected that Kremlin is behind the jamming of GPS global positioning system. Cases of interference with the operation of satellite navigation systems have become more frequent since last year in the Baltic region. A particular surge was recorded this month in the area from Finland to Poland and even to the Black Sea region. The Russian Defense Ministry has reported in the past that electronic warfare units in Kaliningrad conducted exercises to jam radio and satellite signals. Moscow is conducting exercises against the backdrop of the risk of a future potential conflict with NATO. The Estonian commander said that jamming could also be carried out from ships in the Baltic Sea. Officials in Sweden and Finland said earlier this month that they were looking into the issue. Russia has demonstrated its electronic warfare capabilities in other places, not just Ukraine and the Baltic states. European aviation officials met last week to discuss this issue, as conflict in Ukraine and the Middle East have seen an increase in jamming and spoofing attacks, where false signals are sent. This practice may inevitably affect commercial aircraft. Well, Europe is also feeling the hybrid blows of Russian aggression. Welcome to Ukrainian realities. That concludes our today's video. Thank you for watching. Stay updated, comment, like, and subscribe to our UATV English channel for more news from Ukraine. Your support is that really matters. Goodbye.